Hey, somebody's got to look beyond the box. You have? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to The Professional Noticer. Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Hey, thank you for making me a part of your week. My purpose here today, with every show we do, is to play the part of a best friend or a coach. I want to help you live the life of your wildest dreams by giving you access to the greatest mentors the world has to offer today. This week, our sponsor on The Professional Noticer is Kamado Joe Premium Ceramic Grills. You know, these are my grills. I've had other grills in my lifetime. For a long time, I had the kind my daddy used when I was growing up. Then I had a gas grill. After the gas grill, I got a Kamado style grill, and I liked it, but it was the wrong color. And the bits and pieces, like the hinge, were just not well made. Then synchronicity happened. While I'm at home, being less than satisfied with my grill, a couple of guys had an epiphany about grilling, and they just knew there had to be a better way. There was, and there is. As it turned out, these guys had the ability that allowed them to design and develop a grill that was not merely better, it was the best. And the circumstances were perfect for them to bring that grill to us. The Kamado Joe, in all its sizes and with all its specialized tools, Kamado Joe is the world's best ceramic cooker. Check out KamadoJoe.com or look for a dealer near you. Observations and answers are what we do here on The Professional Noticer, and we love it when somebody comes to the table with both. I have a guy that I have kind of paralleled for years, and we've danced around, and I would go places and we go, who did you have last? Oh, Mike Rayburn. And I would say, well, who are you having next? Oh, Mike Rayburn. And this guy, we had met back when we were both doing college concerts. But now, he's the real deal. He's grown. He's grown up. And our guest today works with corporations all over the world with innovation and possibility thinking. And you know how into thinking I am. This guy has performed at Carnegie Hall multiple times. And I will tell you that he's not just a talent, but he is a skilled person. He had a talent, and he developed a skill around it. Please welcome my friend, Mike Rayburn.
Hello, Andy.
Hey,
Thank
buddy.
you so much, man. That makes me feel better about myself than I did when I walked in.
Man, you and I have both reinvented ourselves through the years.
Absolutely.
And so when we were doing college dates back then, and I was a comedian and you were playing guitar, we would see each other. But now, here you are a world breaker. I mean, man, you have done some amazing things, and it has to do with my favorite topic, which is the way you think.
Absolutely. You're so right on that. And I love the fact that you introduced it that way, that you set it up that way, because it all comes down to that. I feel like I tell people your mindset, which is the way you're talking to yourself inside, does nothing less than define the quality of your life and all of your results, period.
Right. I had my character in the Noticer books, Jones, told me one day, he said, you need to quit listening to yourself and start talking to yourself again. And because I had been kind of saying the same things and thinking the same things. And I mentioned with the Kamado Joe, I referenced something that I think you and I are aligned on. There is that book, Good to Great.
Yeah.
And I tell my clients, I said, that's a great book. And millions of people have read that book. And that's That's great for them. But for you, I don't want to go good to great. I want to go good to best. Best is one thing. Best is a different landing area. Mm-hmm. So how do you define that?
Good to best. Well, one of the things that I teach to corporations, associations, and just as for having discovered it for myself first, is making the choice to become a virtuoso. In the music world, a virtuoso, I define it as someone of mastery level skill, someone who wakes up in the morning making the choice for excellence. So often it's no longer a choice. It's become who you are. So that's kind of where the two meet. Your thinking defines that. If you think like you're saying the best, if you think like the best, if you, it starts there, then that defines your actions. And so then I ask them to make a list, like, okay, what would it take to become a virtuoso teacher, a virtuoso leader, a virtuoso financial planner, a virtuoso salesperson, whatever it is that they do. And so to me, becoming the best, no one does it by accident. You and I are totally aligned on that. It's not something that just like, well, Michael Phelps woke up one day and was the best swimmer in the world. That didn't happen. He made the choice. Each one of us makes that choice. Well, most people, and actually, most people don't make that choice.
Right.
And that's the challenge. So I try to exhort people to do that, and then I use my question, what if you did that? How would it change your life? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Nick Saban is a perfect example of a person in an industry that you know how it's done.
Yep.
College football. Yep. You know how it's done. And yet Nick has been able to compete in ways the competition doesn't know a game is going on, because while other people are satisfied with great, Nick was after best.
Yes.
And so when you compare yourself to other people, you're comparing yourself to an average. But these high achievements and high achievers manage to compare themselves with their potential. Which where is that? Right? Where is that? Because if you get close to it, it moves.
Yep.
And that's Nick, and that's you. And how have you used the guitar to demonstrate this?
Well, I use it all the time to demonstrate this. Yeah, quick point there. Like Thomas Edison was not schooled in science. He didn't know what he was doing in the traditional sense that everyone did. He was comparing with himself. He was comparing with just bettering himself each time. And so when he went past the knowledge that the rest of the world had, he didn't even know it. He just blazed on past it because that was not his basis of comparison. So yes, so if Nick Saban was comparing himself to all the other coaches in the SEC or in the whole, college football, if he was comparing himself there, yeah, he'd look pretty good, But all of them, just to get to that level, to be hired as a coach is great. But he didn't. He goes beyond that. So I totally agree with that. So anyway, getting to the guitar. I use the guitar as it's been my dedication for my life. I've been playing for more than 50 years. And I started when I was -2. Here's my joke. And so I can play something for you, but I use it to illustrate. Okay, when you and I speakers, we share a tool, we share a process or a practice or a thought, a mindset. And we ask them to apply it in their world. And one of the ways that I've found helps them to do that is for them to see how I applied it in my world. Okay. And so when I'll say, what if you could, I'll say, what if you could play the guitar without strumming or picking?
Huh.
Okay, so you don't have a pick. You're not picking, you're strumming. How would you do it? Well, actually, it turns out you can touch the strings. And you're not picking or strumming, you're just touching the string, but it actually makes a point. Well, what does that do? That frees up all your fingers to do a lot of different things. And so
So you play the guitar without picking or strumming.
Exactly. And so what I get passionate about is when then, like today, I presented for a group called Farm Credit Bank. And I'm hoping each one of those people who counsels, farmers and people in agriculture on loans, and they help, they provide solutions there, that they're thinking, well, what if we could, in that relationship, in that sales or that just solution-oriented situation, or a teacher, when they go, what if I could reach this kid who seems like no one else can reach him? What if this, a leader, what if I could motivate my people to do something that they've never done before? That's where I wanted to see it happen,
Yeah. The quality of our answers is determined by the quality of our questions.
Boom. That's well said.
And so to ask the right question, to get beyond what everybody knows as how you play a guitar.
Right.
So what other illustrations do you have?
Well, as far as with the guitar?
Yeah.
Oh, well, the other thing I like to do is to take things, that was something new. That was a piece I wrote. That was just a whole new way of playing the guitar.
Sure.
But one of the things that people like to see is how you can take something that they already know, but hear it in a different way. Or, again, a what-if question.
Okay.
And so, for instance...
Observe it from a different angle.
Exactly. And so... one of the pieces I play, I won't do all of this, but I'll just do a little portion of it. I don't know how long do we have. But I'll take a piece that seems impossible to do on one guitar, and that would be Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay.
Okay. And so people, Bohemian Rhapsody, it's got an opera of voices. It's got a full rock band. It's got a flowing piano part that switches stylistically from classical to pop and back and forth through the song. And then it's got Freddie Mercury's unbelievable voice singing it. And I don't even sing it. So it all had to come out of the instrument. So, what if I could? And it took a long time, but I'll just play a little portion. So it goes on from there.
Wow.
So the idea, though, is if they can see what they've heard 1,000 times before, but think, well, what if we did it differently? What if we could do it with fewer people? Or what if we could do it in a more productive way? Those kind of questions. Again, I want people to leave asking those questions, because that's where innovation begins. There's every major achievement, victory, or invention in human history started in some way or another with a bold what-if question. So my question is, why aren't you asking this?
Right. The quality of our answers is determined by the quality of our questions.
Exactly.
I think a great question, and it's silly, but a great question, and I started this with my boys when they would say, I would ask a question, and they would say, well, I don't know. And I would say, I know you don't know. But if you did know, what would you say? Right? And so I use that to get myself off the dime. I know I don't know what to do. But if I did know what to do, what would I do right now?
And the beauty of that question, I love that, is what you just did there was you stepped over every objection, every fear. It's like with what if, it's like, I know we can't, but what if we did? And the idea there is that we're setting aside the fear. We're jumping right over it and moving on to a solution anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
The thoughtful solution it's I hate to use words like always, but it's always there. You know, I wanted at one time to to build a fish pond, a koi pond outside my office, and I had this area here that my desk sat in, and the window curved around, and then there was this area out here that the window looked out, and so I wanted the pond there, and then I wanted a waterfall to come around the edge there.
Ooh.
So I called the pond makers.
Right.
You know, that's what they do for a living, and they said we can't build a pond there, and I said, why is that? And they said, well, because it's already concreted. You know, you can't build a pond there because you got to go down to build a pond, and it's already cement.
Right.
So they said, where else do you want it? And I said, I don't want it anywhere else. I want it right here. And I remember saying to the guy, you know, I'm not Walt Disney, but if I was Walt Disney and I was going out of town and you had a week to make a pond here, or you no longer worked for Disney World, you'd probably figure out a way to build a pond. So I know you can't build a pond here, but if you had to,
Exactly right.
what would you do?
Yeah.
And he looked at it for a minute and he said, well, I'd probably get some sandbags and build them up, and then take a rubber lining and put over the sandbags and put rocks over the rubber lining so that it doesn't show the sandbags, and it camouflages that. And then you can make the waterfall. And I said, do that. And he did.
Yeah.
But it's the
you
thinking part.
Yes, and what you did there was what we try to do as speakers is you took someone who had an answer. No, it can't be done. And you, by asking the right question, he went, oh. And all it took was him getting past that automatic answer of no.
Right.
And he actually, and that's my point is, everyone has that brilliance, but he didn't know it until you asked him the right question.
Yeah,
and you got him there, and that's great. And then you probably have a koi pond there that goes
and
around
for
your
all
cement.
of us, I look at him and I think, this is your living. I mean, he had a job then. I mean, I did a deal with him, whereas before he was just going to walk away from it.
Yep.
And so I think how many times in our own lives and with our children do we need to teach them how to think?
Yep.
And I look at your guitar, and I know that you have now thought beyond the 6 strings. There's a beast on the floor here.
There's a beast over here that I need to break out.
I am curious about this.
This is a harp guitar. And and the way I teach this, the way I talk about this is, and I'll explain what this is. It's got a 6-string guitar right here in the middle. This is a normal tune in standard tuning, okay? And this, to me, when I speak about it, represents what we each do well, and we've done well in the past, and that going forward, it will have relevance. What we've learned, the skills we've learned, the things that we've learned, the way we've done, it's going to have relevance. However, the world is changing, and we're all going to have new strings to play. We're all going to need to bring in, understand new skills, new mindsets, new tools, new practices. And so this guitar also has the 6 sub-bass strings of a harp and the 8 super treble strings of a harp. So, playing them all together means I have to think differently, because none of the harp strings are fretted, meaning they don't have these little lines in there, okay? They don't have the frets.
Right.
So to change a note, you change strings. You can't change the note on the string itself. So as I'm playing these, they have to simply be played one note, and I have to change notes to change strings. But these are all played the old way. And that's what we're all going to have to do this in some way or another. I use that's the metaphor.
Do you do what you do, but you innovate?
Yes.
With the extra.
Yes. Yeah. And the good thing is that reinforces and affirms what we've done in the past. We don't have to abandon everything. It reaffirms and reinforces it, but it also says there's new things that we're going to have to do as we move forward, especially in it's a rapidly changing world. So.
Yeah, and when we add the new, it becomes more beautiful than it was.
Right. And so what I'm going to do to illustrate that is I'm going to play a piece called Eleanor, Rigby, which is the Beatles piece from one of their early albums, and Paul McCartney wrote it, and which is an older piece, early '60s, but I'm going to play it in a new way.
Okay.
So we'll do, and I'm using some hammer-ons, and I've wrote a little intro and outro for it too.
Wow. Wow. I'm just mesmerized, astonished.
It's a beautiful thing. And you said it really well earlier that by learning the new skills or learning the new strings, we're creating something more beautiful than maybe we've done in the past. And I think that's true.
Mike, thank you for being with us today.
It is absolutely my honor.
Man, I appreciate you, and I appreciate the fact that you're going to be showing up on Wisdom Harbor.
Oh, absolutely. And I do want to say, give you props because I saw you back. I mentioned this to you earlier, but I saw you back in the days of the College Market, and I think you were performing at one of the awards shows,
right? And
you did the 50 things that parents say to you, and that inspired me. I've written 2 bits based on that, just not the same thing, but that style of comedy, the listing and whatever. And you've been an inspiration. I appreciate that very much.
Man, thank you. And thank you for being with us, and you are welcome back anytime.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer, harnessing common sense and wisdom to plow through challenges all the way to an answer for you. And I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing the tiny bit of mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Limpert. The Noticer theme written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. Technical innovations provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional financial consideration provided by historicalholograms.com. Are you tired of your regular dinner guest? Family and friends boring you to tears? Well, figure out who you'd like to invite for that perfect meal and log in with a membership to historicalholograms.com. You can have Winston Churchill as the centerpiece of cocktail hour, then move into dinner conversation with George and Martha Washington. You can summon Captain Kangaroo for your child's birthday party, Lawrence Welk for your mother at the nursing home, or Jerry Garcia and the Grateful Dead for your teenager's senior prom. Nothing is out of bounds for historicalholograms.com. Would you like to take Adolf Hitler to your hunting camp and arrange an accident for the Führer? Perhaps you'd like to recreate Julius Caesar's assassination in ancient Rome, and just when you shove the knife in, have Julius look you in the eye and say, "Et tu, Frank?" Or whatever your name is. There is an endless stream of options from which to choose when you first choose historicalholograms.com. That's historicalholograms.com, giving the average person a chance to rewrite the past.